Everybody, and today we are reviewing the Battle for New York of Ninja Turtles. It all starts with Mikey messing around with some mutagen. Then Donnie gets pissed off because Mikey is doing it, of course. And for some magical reason, Mikey is able to make a perfect retro mutagen, which will turn mutants back into people. And Donnie is super relieved from this, even though he was mad. But then he asks Mikey how he did it, and then Mikey's like, I don't know. And Raph's like, oh, of course Mikey's going back to his old self. And then Donnie's just mad because Mikey doesn't remember, but then Splinter reminds him that he has to be grateful for this moment or something. So, retro mutagen, and now all they gotta do is find a way to get a large dose of mutagen and then drop it, and then maybe find a way to find the people into Dimension X and turn them back into human and return them all home and get rid of all the Krang. And that's kind of like the rest of the episode. It is, but like this time the Turtles team up with a special group of mutants. We see the return of Leatherhead / Dr. Rockwell and Pigeon Pete as they rescue the Turtles from their attack against the Krang. And they formed their own, I guess, if you want to call it, a superhero team called the Mighty Mutanimals. Now, I really like the Mighty Mutanimals. I love the concept of these other mutant characters, and they formed their own team, and it's a spin-off team. It reminds me of, like, the Suicide Squad, where we got, like, this I don't know about powerful group of people who go on dangerous missions, but it's basically like that. And like Mighty Mutanimals was first a concept in the 80s Ninja Turtles show, but it was originally going to be a show by Hanna-Barbera, but they canceled it for whatever reason. And then I guess they resurfaced this concept into this show, which is really nice. I really like the group. I even have the Mighty Mutanimals toys themselves, even though we don't have Pigeon Pete as a toy. I did have Slash, Leatherhead, Dr. Rockwell, and Mondo Gecko. And that's sort of a little spoiler for later in the show when we do see Mondo. Anyway, the Turtles are a little hesitant, well, Leo is, with teaming up the Mighty Mutanimals because of Slash. Because Slash was, last time we saw him, he was a bad guy. He was trying to kill the Turtles, and then he teamed up with the Neutralizer. But then Slash admits that the mutagen got it over my head, but he says he's a changed turtle, and it shows it because he is super helpful, a good leader. Even when he's hard on himself, he's able to realize that he can lead a good team, even when later in the episode where Leatherhead gives him the pep talk, and the Turtles basically get into an all-out fight with the Mutanimals, and they have to stop this, like, Krang missile. Well, basically what the Krang's plan is that they're going to gather enough mutagen to launch a missile that will basically just wash all over the planet, turning Earth into Dimension X. And the Turtles are the ones that go up to the rocket. And the Mutanimals are the ones that are on the ground assault. And they do their best to give Turtles the time they need, and then they end up using this giant blimp that Donnie made. Honestly, this is probably a reference to the Turtle blimp in the 80s show. And so the Turtles use it, and they use like these glider things after they literally almost go to space. Like, after they jump off the rocket, they literally fly, and they're like burning up from falling, and then they use their turtle gliders to land safely back onto the blimp. And I think this is like the end of the part 1 of the episode, and it's quite cool. But we also get another return. I forgot to mention, we get the return of, and possibly last appearance of, Mr. Kurtzman. So if you don't remember Mr. Kurtzman, he was in season 2. He was kind of like the guy who knows everything about the Krang, like their history and stuff. And he tried to recruit the Turtles, but they were gone after what happened in season 2. So he's gathered the mighty mutanimals, which is really cool. He's like the Nick Fury. So what happens is while they were in the building gathering together to plan, and Kurtzman does tell Slash and Leo to settle their differences, but Kurtzman actually gets shot by a Krang because they were getting spied on by one of the Krang probes, and I almost thought Kurtzman was gonna die. Honestly, he didn't, thank goodness. But he is taken to the Turtles' secret hideout at the pizza shop in the next episode, and basically just going to get healed up. And so what happens next in part 2 is the Turtles are actually going to go to Dimension X. They're going to use the blimp. They're going to take their moment while the Krang open a portal to it, and that's what they do. They use the blimp and get in there while the Mighty Mutanimals are basically going to go into the Krang lab and turn on the portal for them. And that's what they do. They manage to do it after dealing with an overwhelming amount of Krang droids and Irma bots and that one teacher Krang. And what happens next is the Turtles do end up in Dimension X. And Mikey's got his little Dimension X gear on again, of course. And basically what their plan is, they're going to use a techno drone, and then, well, Mikey comes up with it. He's going to use a techno drone to basically find the Mugen sample and then dump the retro Mugen on there and basically use that to turn the people back. They do struggle to find the people at first, but they do, once they get into the techno drone, they get into a lot of fights with the earthworms. Like, it's very action-packed. And then I do like how they literally now command the ship of the techno drone, while also dealing with Krang Subprime, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was like in the first part. I do like how Gilbert Gottfried gets the performance of Krang Subprime, and like he just makes fun of how the Krang talk. Like, they're always very long in their whenever they're talking, and then Krang's just like, shut up. And I think they basically do have a showdown with the Turtles in the Technodrome, and then they take him down, and they're basically in full control of it. And they manage to find the people, and they shoot the Retro Mugen at them, and then, yeah, they turn back into humans, thank goodness. But meanwhile, the Mighty Mutanimals are, while they're trying to keep the portal open, they actually get taken down by the many Krang droids, and then they're captured. That's where Slash gets his little doubt moment, and Leatherhead gives him the talk. And so basically what happens is Dr. Rockwell, because I forgot to mention, he has psychic powers now. The Krang managed to experiment on his brain, and he managed to get his sanity back, his mind back. And so he uses his psychic powers to open up their captured lock or something, and then they basically contact the Turtles, and they're basically going to turn on the portal back on, and they basically teleport all the people back home finally. And so, yeah, it's pretty awesome. The people are finally back, and they use the Technodrome to get rid of all the Krang in the city. They basically all vanish, and then the Turtles and Mutanimals finally reunite, and it ends in a celebration where all the Turtles and Mutanimals say Booyakasha. I don't know if this counts as Leonardo saying Booyakasha, because he never says it in the show. But we can assume he does in this final moment. That's a weird thing to point out, I know, but like, why not point it out? Because, like, Donnie said it, Raph said it, Mikey says it all the time in the show, but Leo, he never does. And then, so yeah, this was an amazing episode. It's finally cool seeing, like, the Mutanimals team up with the Turtles. Them against the Krang was very action-packed, fun. Yeah, this is just an overall fun episode. So I think the next episode is going back to its old roots against the Turtles versus the Foot Clan. Can't wait to talk about it. It's like Casey Jones versus the Underworld, so I'm excited for that. I'd probably give this episode Why not a 10 out of 10? I don't think I had any issues with it. So, I'm just going to randomly mention this, but, years ago when Turtles was still airing on TV, they made this computer game, rest in peace, computer games. It's called Ninja Turtles Battle for New York. It's where you play these little mini games as the various characters, like, you only get a few seconds to play them. Yeah, you can play as the Turtles, mutantanimals. It's an awesome game. I think they only made it because it was cool to see all these characters team up in one big crossover. So, I thought I'd mention that. So, anyway, I can't wait for the next episode. So, that being said, thanks for watching, and Turtle Power!